Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish on the movies. But finally, we're back to reviewing books. I am anyway, because I read constantly. A lot of it just by listening to the books while I do chores. I can't exactly do dishes and flip the pages of a book at the same time. So listening to them is a lot easier. I just wanted to point out before I do my book review two mystery series that I've recently, one I'm reading now, I finished because there's no more books in the series. That one's called the Mary Ann Ghost Mystery Series by Kate Kingsbury. It's about a newly established bed and breakfast with a grandma and her granddaughter as owners, and a laughing ghost who haunts the inn by laughing constantly and also leaves clues for the owners so they can solve mysteries. In fact, the very first mystery involves a body that is hidden in the wall of one of their rooms that are going to be a guest room for guests. And the other mystery series I'm reading right now is a coffee house mystery series by Cleo Coyle, and there are oh at least probably almost 20 or maybe even more books in this series. I'm on the third one, and it revolves around a coffee house and the art of making the perfect coffee and espresso and what happens when a murder is involved. And it is pretty good. You learn a lot about coffee making and espresso making and how it's such an art. But it takes place in New York City, and it's really good. The second one, the one I read before this, it's really thrilling. So, okay, now what I'm doing today is I am reviewing Anne Hillerman's latest book about the Southwest and the Navajo people called The Tale Teller. It just came out this year, and this one I bought in hardback because I have the whole Hillerman, including her father and the whole collection of these books. Her father passed away a few years ago, and she took over writing the series. So she's done a really good job and brought in, the character is already there, but she's does a lot more because she's a woman and he was a man. She's brought in a few more or focused more on some female characters, and also in this one especially returned to one of his old characters, which is good. So I'll start. First of all, I want to apologize for my last review of Murders and Metaphors. Because I handwrite my reviews, sometimes I lose my place or I can't even read my own writing, and that's what happened. I lost my place but started back. I hope that doesn't stop anyone from reading Murders and Metaphors or any other books in that Mystery Bookshop series. Okay, back to my review of Anne Hillerman's new book, The Tale Tellers. Her latest book contains a lot more of Joe Leaphorn, who has recovered enough from being shot to the point of working as a consultant for the Navajo Police Department, as well as tackling cases on his own. Hillerman also tackles his relationship with his roommate Louisa, an anthropology professor. She's not quite a love interest yet, maybe never, but more so far of a respectful colleague, a caretaker who has helped him during his recovery, which has been hard, and a good friend. Back to the story. Detective Chi and his policewoman wife Bernie Manuelito are the other two main characters in the book. Bernie goes for a run up a designated trail, and hears a dog barking next to what looks like a pile of clothes. However, the pile of clothes turns out to be a body of a dead man. She has to secure the area, which means closing down the trail to other users until law enforcement, which are her fellow officers, and the FBI arrive. Because this is a Navajo reservation, it is federal land, and that means any big case like a murder, for example, has to be investigated by the FBI. So who is this murdered man? Who is the killer? And what about the dog? What happens to it? If you think that's what this book is about, you are dead wrong. It is only part of several components which are woven together into another new Hillerman mystery. The next main component of the book is the Joe Leaphorn case. The Navajo Nation Museum director, Mrs. Pinto, hires Joe to look into a couple of missing items donated by an anonymous source to the Navajo Nation Museum. According to the donor list, 2 items are missing: a silver storyteller bracelet and a significant piece of traditional Navajo clothing called a beal. And I may be mispronouncing it, I just don't know, because this isn't the listening book. This is one where I flip the pages. So, okay, the beal is like a tunic, and it may have been worn and woven by Juanita, wife of Chief Manuelito. The chief and his wife Juanita proudly led the Navajo people back to their homeland in the 1860s after they were forced to relocate along with 125,000 other Native Americans of all different tribes to other designated areas of land. This was called the Trail of Tears. What happened to these missing items? Did the owner forget to enclose them? Did the post office lose them? Did Mrs. Pinto's assistant Tiffany steal them for some reason? To complicate matters, Tiffany collapses and dies, although it is a well-known fact that she had a medical condition and took medication for it. Her death looks suspicious. Then someone anonymously accuses Mrs. Pinto of witchcraft and implies that she may have had something to do with her assistant's death. Leaphorn will now have a bit more to investigate besides missing items on a donor's list. The solutions to all the mysteries in the book are not obvious. Like the missing beal, everything is linked in some way, including Jim Chee's involvement in being at the scene of a shooting. Anne Hillerman's skillful writing weaves them all together into another well-written Hillerman mystery about the Southwest and its diverse people. I'm glad she featured Leaphorn in a more prominent role in her latest novel. I realize that he is her father's well-fleshed-out character, but it's nice to see her continue his story into her vision of the Navajo Nation universe. And that's it, everybody. That is Anne Hillerman's latest book. I enjoyed it, and I recommend the whole series, but...
What do you review it?
What?
What do you rate it?
Oh, out of 10,
on a letter scale.
Oh, okay. Well, I give it an A. I really would, because she did an excellent job with Joe Leaphorn. He was shot in the head, and so he couldn't walk. I mean, it's been a terrible time for him, and his wife died of cancer a few years ago. This woman, the anthropology professor, she's friends with him, and she's been helping him, like taking him to the doctor, and she's been working with him, taking to his appointments. He has rehab appointments. He has to work on his speech. He's really back to pretty full capacity, except he has trouble speaking English, and he can't say the words very well, English words, but he can speak in Navajo. He can understand everything, but it's just the speaking part. But he is well enough and able enough to solve these mysteries and interview people. And anyway, it's nice to see that she tackled her father. I mean, he's passed away. She can't ask him for any advice. Tackle his character and try to work it into her story. she talks a lot. Usually talks a lot about Bernie. Bernie is Bernadette Manuelito. She's a female, and that's her. Like she's developed that character more than what her father did. He was working on Jim Chi and Bernie's husband and Joe Leaphorn and some other male characters, and so that's been her thing. Chi and Manuelito, but and a little bit of Leaphorn, but this book focuses a lot more. He's a primary component of this book. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. I recommend it, but I recommend the whole series. I mean, if you really like the Southwest, if you've been to the Four Corners area, you've been to the Grand Canyon, that whole area, you know how cool it is. It's beautiful. It's you see, I mean, the food is really good, and
Spoiler
it's
alert.
beautiful. It's just a beautiful place.
Spoiler alert. What do you hope happened? What do you hope happens next in the series?
Oh, I don't know. The reason why I say it's really one thing that I like about a book, like especially a mystery book, if you can just pretty much guess everything that's going to happen, that means it's no good. If it can really keep you guessing all the way until the end, and you're totally surprised on who the person is who did it, or I mean, this is a very complex who did it, who done it, whatever, and it was not obvious to me at all, and so that's what really makes it one reason that this makes a good mystery. But it's a very complex who done it. It just isn't like, oh, it's that person and that's the end of it. They're bad, or they had a problem. It's about money. What? No. This is not anywhere near anything like that. So that's what really makes it good too. And I just don't like things. I'm really good at predicting the solutions to things, but this one it was not obvious, and I think you'd really like it. But if, like I said, you should read the whole series, but just don't read The Fly on the Wall, because that's not anything to do. Tony Hillerman was a journalist, and it was about being a journalist. It's a terrible book. Sorry, but it was awful. But the
what
rest
would you rate that book?
Probably a D. I think it was his first book, like a mystery kind of novel type book. But these other ones are all about the Southwest. It's an area where he lived and where his daughter lives. I think she has a brother too. He's not into the writing business. And anyway, it's been what they've done by showcasing this area and its diverse peoples and showing the richness of the Native American culture without elaborating on it and lecturing, just like including little pieces of it into the story. It enriches it, and the scenery, the environment, the rain, I mean everything. It's all mixed for a really good mystery series.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay.
So I'm done, and the next thing we'll do will be it'll probably be our top 10 movies of 2018. Each one of us, of course, has a different take on that, and our lowest 10 of the movies that we saw. And by the way, Marco and I did not see the same movies.
I saw a lot more than she did.
And he saw lots more than I did. I don't have time to watch as many movies as he does. And and it's just like I said, when I read these books, I'm listening to them while I'm doing chores. So that makes it easier to quote read them. But it is different. It's different than reading it by hand, by turning pages, and listening to them. It's two totally different things. So anyway, that's it for now. See you soon. Bye.
Next, I'm going to be doing the new Ted Bundy movie.
Yes, Marco's doing that.
I'm doing Cobra Kai Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Safi is doing Lucifer Season 4.
Yeah, I have to watch that. I'm so excited that Netflix picked it up. I really like that series. And I was really sad that, who was it, Fox or NBC? Whoever took it down, because I can't even remember now who had it. But they did not give it a fair chance, I don't think. But I'm glad Netflix did. And Marco tells me, though, they only have 10 episodes.
And that's a trend I'm sure that will come up on your season review, talking about shows not having as many episodes.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if the content of it, because it was a network show, if it differs in any way than being a Netflix show.
Well,
That'll be interesting too.
They said that it's going to be, quote, bloodier and sexier.
Oh, well,
And so
that's interesting.
Netflix. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.